Hi, Shelby.
Hey Steve, how's it going?
Good. In fact, we should probably start with bonjour.
Bonjour.
Voila, because we are going to be continuing to explore the French language. And what we're going to try to do is sort of touch on one key element each time, which then I want you to notice, and hopefully it also helps you notice other things in the language. It's not possible to explain everything that happens in the language, and it's certainly not possible to remember. You know, if I were to explain everything that happens, assuming I knew what happens in the language, assuming I could explain it, you wouldn't remember it. So you sort of got to start noticing more and more things. And that's why, of course, we put so much emphasis on listening and reading, because the more you listen, the more you read, the more things you start to notice. Certain things fall into place, and that allows you to notice other things that you hadn't noticed before. And so there's a gradual process of getting used to the language. And also, I think it's helpful too to develop certain habits, like the habit of listening while doing other things. Some people say they can't do that. You mentioned last time that you are able to do that.
Yes.
You can be listening while doing the dishes or in your car or whatever it might be.
Yes, and I've been doing
good.
that a little bit since our last video.
Okay, so I thought that today would be interesting to focus on, you know, we are going to get into sort of nouns and gender and adjectives and verbs and tenses and all those things that people have trouble with. But the first thing is basically the sentence, the structure, the word order for a positive statement, then for a question, and for then, you know, either a negative or a positive answer. And the mini stories are a great place to do that, because there are 60 mini stories, and every single mini story is followed by questions. And it's what we call these circling questions. So you have a statement from the story, you have a question that repeats basically the same words, and then you have either a positive or a negative answer. So let's see if we can go there on your screen and see what we can notice about word order in French.
All right, sounds good.
By the way, last week we were noticing certain things about pronunciation, and I hope you are noticing things relevant to French pronunciation, and even trying to, I suggested that one way to get sort of the rhythm, because it's so difficult, some of these things that are difficult to pronounce in French, it's sometimes easy to pronounce them in individual words, but much more difficult in a sentence. And so therefore it's useful to sometimes practice reading a sentence, maybe listening to it and then reading it, trying to capture the intonation of the native speaker, even if you stumble over the individual words, and then keep doing that and keep doing that. And pretty soon you will be able to produce the U or the A or the on or the on the fly in the middle of a sentence. It won't happen overnight, but it's something that's worth practicing.
Awesome.
And you are practicing that, right?
Yes, I am.
Good stuff. All right. So let's go to one of the mini stories. I mean, we can start with, have we done story number? Let's go to number 6.
Okay,
all right,
cool.
All right, which is new. And I'll just remind people that the mini stories are written in such a way that the first 20 lessons are all in the present tense, and thereafter there's just a mixture of tenses. Okay.
All right, I guess I was in the middle of the 5th one, so here we go.
Okay. All right. So again, because pronunciation is always there. I mean, pronunciation is kind of something that we gradually get better at, and the better we get at pronunciation, the better we understand. So comprehension improves as well. So let's maybe just read a couple of sentences here, and then we'll flip through to the questions. So could you read the first sentence there?
I can sure try. Jeanne et Frédéric sont fatigués le soir.
Okay, fatigué.
Fatigué.
So, yeah, okay. It's not that you don't know that, it's because you missed it. So one should never get upset about the little things that slip by because we didn't notice. I know that you know that an E with an accent aigu, as it's called, is pronounced A. And we also know that there's an S on the end of the fatigué because there's 2 of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that agreement, but we'll get into agreement some other time.
Okay.
But we see there that the word order is very similar to English, right? Jean and Frederick are tired. Now, we
This
say at
evening?
night, in the evening, and
Okay.
in French, they don't say in the evening, they just said the evening, le soir, okay? So let's read the next sentence.
Okay. Ils mangent ensemble les repas du soir à 19 heures.
19 heures. 19 heures. So
19
it's
heures.
il, again, as we discussed last week, il, right? No S. If the next word had started with a vowel, then it would have been is. We would hear the S. But because it starts with a consonant, it's silent. So il mange. So there again.
Ils mangent.
Yeah, just reading through these is an opportunity to go over some of the stuff that we covered last time, and that is that many letters in French are simply not pronounced. And
Correct.
so, il mange. So when we get to verbs, we'll see it's a bit of a problem because if you say il mange, you don't know if it's he eats or they eat. It's pronounced exactly the same.
Right.
Okay. But you get used to all this stuff. So, ils mangent ensemble. Le repas. Again, I remind you that anyone with a Spanish sort of background is going to want to say le repas, but it's actually le repas. Okay?
Le repas.
Le repas. The E without an accent is e. Le repas du soir, the meal of the evening, at 19 heures, at 7 o'clock. 19 heures. Notice in French, particularly in France, less so in Quebec, they use the 24-hour clock. Not exclusively, but more than we do. And we also use the 24-hour clock, but not as much as they do.
Okay.
But we see again that the word order is very similar.
Yes.
Read the next sentence.
Le fils mange le repas du soir avec
Okay. Now, just to make you, to remind you of how inconsistent things can be in French. In fact, it's leur fils. It's one of these words.
Come
it's
on.
So dumb.
Now,
I'm serious.
The next word doesn't begin with a vowel.
I know. And you have to learn, there's a few words like that. And so, whereas it's il, okay. I-L-S, mange, il mange, here is leur fils.
Leur fils.
Leur fils mange le repas du soir avec eux.
Okay.
But what we're seeing here, though, is that the word order is very similar to English.
Yes.
So let us now, I don't know if we can flip ahead a few pages. You can always go back in. It'll convert your blue words to white, but you can go back and save them again. So you're not losing anything. Okay. People sometimes get so worried. Well, I didn't know that. I shouldn't have made it known. And it doesn't matter. If you come across it again, you don't know it. You just save it. And the word count recalculates.
Boy, so, I knew that word. I just really wanted to.
Which one is that? Myself. Well, then let's go through the words you don't know. Which one don't you know?
Well, the blue ones.
Okay, let's do them. All right, let's do them.
I mean,
that's fine.
Fatigué, I can definitely assume what that means, right?
Right, yeah.
Mange,
you should, one thing I would do is Jeanne and Frédéric, I would X them both.
So, yeah, how do I do that again?
Well, the easiest way to do it is just hit X on your keyboard.
Okay, awesome. I had forgotten that.
Yeah, and you can move to the next one with your arrows. So now, mange, do you know? I guess you've looked it up.
Yeah, no, and that one I had remembered before that.
Right. One thing I do when I'm going through and I come across yellow words, if I now feel I know them, that's my opportunity to change the status. So if they were a status 1, I might move them to 2 or 3 if I'm not totally confident, or if I absolutely know it. And knowing to me means knowing it in the context. It doesn't mean that you'll be able to remember to use it. That'll come gradually over time. But as long as I'm comfortable, I understand it in the context, I'll move it to know. I can always move it back later on. It's important to keep moving forward and not saying, gee, if I can't, use it, whatever, then I don't know it. I don't approach it that way. I just keep moving forward. I can always move it back. Le repas.
Le repas. Yeah, this is my first time seeing this word. I'm going to mark it as a 3.
But you know what it means? It's
meal, food.
Yeah, we even have that in English. So repas, I think so, maybe not. Repas du soir, okay. Le fils, le repas du soir. Now, one thing you might want to do, as a habit on Link is to save a phrase like le repas du soir, the evening meal. That's
Okay.
It's said a little differently than in English. It's kind of a useful phrase.
Is that really how they always say dinner?
No, they can say le souper, dîner, whatever, but very often le repas du soir, yeah.
Okay, good to know. Let's see.
But normally they would say, let's have dinner together. On va dîner ensemble. Dîner is a verb. It's a noun. You'll get used to that. But this one here is also useful to have. Okay, ils se détendent. Now,
détendre is like to relax, I guess. Yeah, I have never seen that word before.
Right. Now, one thing that we're getting into all kinds of stuff, but that's fine. We'll have another opportunity to focus in on it. But ils se détendent. So there are these reflexive verbs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So to relax is se détendre. Like ils se détendent, they relax. Right. And it's just useful. To détendre is to stretch out, but ils se détendent, they relax.
Okay. So yeah, different meaning if it's reflexive or non-reflexive.
Right.
So these should be saved together.
Mm-hmm.
Et regarde.
Voilà. Regarde.
Yes, I remember that one.
Yeah.
Story. That's to watch.
Mm-hmm. If what I find, if there's a blue word, if I know it, I don't even need to save it, like télévision.
Mm-hmm.
Then I don't touch it, because then it'll automatically not save. Right? The minute you touch it and you move on, it'll save it. But you don't want that, because télévision, so you just pass it. It'll be blue, and as you turn the page, it'll turn to white.
Okay. So
all right.
On this page.
Yeah, we can turn the page. Okay. Now, you know what? We can continue just to go through and save the blue words, and then we'll get to the questions. And
okay.
So I read that next sentence.
Il m'attend leur fils I have no idea how to say 20 in French. Excellent. I haven't listened to this yet, so
no, that's fun.
It is going to be
what is fun though is what is fun from my experience, and I'm talking about like Persian and Arabic, where it's nothing, no meaning. The audio is noise. There's nothing there, and you go back 3 months later, and it's all clear. And so all of the things that you're experiencing now. It's very interesting because you're beginning. You're just starting with the language, so it's all full of stuff you don't know what to do. And you'll go back there. Well, we're going to have a number of these sessions, and you'll see just how much of it becomes clear. But again, remember that il, they, right? So anytime you have il, the ending is ent of the verb, and it's not pronounced. Not pronounced. So, ils mettent. Okay. They put.
Ils mettent.
Ils mettent. So you might want to save that. But ils mettent, the S is not pronounced because it comes before a consonant. And the ENT is not pronounced. So, ils mettent. They put.
Ils mettent leur fils au lit.
Leur fils. It's a strong S. It's a fils. Leur fils.
Leur fils au lit.
Oli. The T is not pronounced. And what's more, the T there doesn't really drag on to the A. Like often I say there's a liaison. Ils mettent leur fils au lit à 20h.
À 20h.
20h. It's unfortunate that they have written 20 as, the numbers.
Yeah.
They should really write, it's VINGT. And maybe I'll go back in there. Okay. VINGT. And again,
I'm not going to remember.
The G is not pronounced, right? Aventure. Okay.
Aventure.
Voila.
All right.
Next one.
Yeah. So, Jean prend un bain bien chaud.
Okay. Jean, voilà. Prend, takes. This is the same as Spanish, I think. Maybe not. It is in Italian anyway. Takes un bain.
Un bain.
Un bain. bien chaud.
I don't know what this means.
Bain?
Oh, bath. Okay.
Yeah.
Bien chaud. Bien chaud.
Yeah.
Oh, warm. Okay.
Okay. So what we're seeing, Jeanne takes a bath very warm. So in English word order, we would have said takes a very warm bath.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
There, the adjective comes after, and that's often the case. Not always, but often the case. More often the case. I think in English we always put the adjective first. A big car. We never say a car big.
Exactly.
Yeah, but in French they often put the adjective after the noun.
Mm-hmm. But not always.
Oh, but not always.
Okay.
Not always, but mostly.
That makes it just so much more fun.
And that's why I always say with all these grammar things, you don't even worry about it because you cannot possibly remember. And I'm sure you can find a grammar book that tells you the rules as to when the adjective comes before the noun and when it comes after. And of course, it's impossible to remember that. But just through enough reading and listening, you'll eventually get used to it. Okay, so next sentence.
All right. Do you want me to read it?
Yeah.
Frédéric se douche et se brosse les dents.
Voilà. Now, two reflexive verbs. He showers himself,
Mm-hmm.
and he brushes himself the teeth.
Okay.
Okay.
Se brosse.
Se brosse. Voilà. Se brosse.
Yeah, I'll say I know that one. That's a cognate, that's Spanish.
That's a cognate, yeah.
Et les dents as well.
Yeah, les dents. And se douche.
I don't know why that didn't save. I can remember that one.
Yeah. So there's a lot more reflexive, like that would not be reflexive in English. You wash myself. You don't shower myself. Yeah. You don't brush myself the teeth.
Yeah.
But they do in French. So these are things. And again, no amount of explanation. You just get used to it. Hey, we have another reflexive verb. Today should be on reflexive verbs.
Totally. Well, and this is only familiar to me because it's equal as Spanish. But if I had not learned Spanish, this would be super weird.
Exactly.
All right.
So next one.
Jean.
It's Jeanne, by the way. Jeanne. Jean is the boy's name, and Jeanne is a girl's name.
Jeanne.
Mm-hmm.
Jeanne Li Mesendo en Lisson.
Voilà. Great Spanish accent there. So first of all, li is to read, and we notice it's the same word as the word for bed. Okay, because 4 sentences up, il met ton fils au lit, to bed.
Oh, okay.
So li.
Same word.
Yeah, exactly. Le lit, the bed, or lit, which comes from lire. Je lis, tu lis, lis, to read. S'endort, another reflexive.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say I can recognize that word yet.
No, but it's from, dormir, to sleep.
Mm-hmm. En lisant.
En lisant.
En lisant.
En lisant.
So
en lisant, reading.
Okay, so he falls asleep reading?
Yeah.
Okay.
En lisant, that's a structure that you'll get used to. We're not going to get into it now, but en lisant, voilà, it could be any verb. It's like while doing something.
Cool.
Okay.
Frédéric aussi s'endort rapidement.
Voilà. So
rapidement. Oh, I should just skip it, like you said. Okay.
Yeah.
Frédéric et moi sommes fatigués le soir.
Oui.
Nous mangeons ensemble.
Mangeons. Trying to get the nasal in there. Nous mangeons.
Nous mangeons ensemble le repas de soir à 19 heures.
Voilà. Boy, you're doing a lot better. One thing now, because this is a mini story, the first part of the story is talking about them, Jeanne and Frédéric. And then the second portion, it's either Frédéric, well, no, it's Jeanne who's talking now. And she says, Frédéric et moi, like Frédéric et moi sommes, nous sommes. So Frédéric et moi sommes. Like Frédéric et Jeanne sont fatigués, are fatigués. That's the third person plural. But here is us, we, nous sommes. I'm not going to get into the verb, but start to notice that the verb form changes. So here again, ils mangent, they eat, ENT, but we eat, nous mangeons. So the verb changes. You with your Spanish are quite familiar with the fact that verbs change with the person. In English, we only have the one form that changes, which is the S at the end of the third person singular in the present tense. But in French, they all change. So, like Spanish. Okay. Oh, you hit your daily target. Good for you.
Great.
Okay.
Okay. Notre fils mange le repas de soir avec nous.
By the way, you know, you're already reading so much better than when we started this lesson. Note again that because it's we, it's our son, right?
Yes. Not.
And not avec eux, but avec
no.
Nous. Nous.
No.
Nous. 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 It's
No.
like a you. Like nous. Vous. Nous. Tu. OU is ou. Ou. Yeah. In Spanish has the great advantage of being like you can read a word you've never seen before and it's written the way it's pronounced. Yeah. Spanish, or at least in French, OU is ou. Ou means where. Ou. OU is ou. Okay, and we'll go for the last one.
Okay. Nous nous détendons et regardons la télévision ensemble.
Okay. Nous nous détendons. You because it's reflexive. So whereas the reflexive form for they, ils se, but here it's nous. We stretch ourselves, or nous nous détendons. We relax, right? Nous nous détendons, and we really want to hear that on détendons. Because one of the things again, not overnight, but slowly you get more and more confident in the different nasal sounds. Because there's on, and there's en, and there's un. Okay, nous nous détendons et regardons.
Et regardons la télévision.
Because it's nous. Nous nous détendons, but regardons is not reflexive, so it's just regardons la télévision ensemble. When you have an S between two vowels, it's Z sound. So it's not télévision, it's télévision. Télévision, z.
Télévision.
Voilà, ensemble. Okay. Now you can go to the next page. Sure. Oh, good. We're getting close to questions. So, read the next sentence.
Notre fils regarde la télévision aussi.
Aussi. Voilà.
Aussi.
Okay. Next sentence.
Okay. Nous mettons notre fils au lit à 20 heures.
Voilà. Excellent. Nous mettons, actually, mettons. Anytime you see an E without an accent, it's E. Nous mettons notre fils au lit. Now, one thing you'll often hear in French is it's notre fils, but when they speak quickly, you don't hear the R and the E. So you could say notre fils, our son, or notre fils. You don't hear the R, notre fils.
All right.
Next one.
Je prends un bain bien chaud.
Voilà. No S. Je prends un bain bien chaud.
Un bain bien chaud.
Voilà. Je prends un bain. No, they don't say that. Frédéric, voilà. Next one.
Frédéric se douche et se brosse les dents.
Les dents. Voilà. Very good. Next one.
Je lis mais je m'endors en lisant.
Voilà. Je lis.
Je lis.
Mais je m'endors.
Je lis, mais je m'endors.
M'endors. Again, we got to get used to getting that nasal in there. En lisant.
En lisant.
reading. Okay.
Okay. Frédéric aussi s'endort rapidement.
Perfect. So now we get to word order when we come to questions. So give us the statement.
The statement here? Yeah.
No, the question, the first question.
Okay. Oh, right. So, Frédéric et Jean sont Jeanne. What am I saying?
It's okay.
Frédéric et Jean sont fatigués.
Right. What you have to think of is, it's a bit tiring doing what you're doing now, because you're kind of half apprehensive that I'm going to correct you each time, and you're stumbling, even things that you know. You got to look at like 3 months from now. For me, 3 months from now, you're going to plow through this like it's a breeze, like it's old hat. That's what people, and I know you've been through it in Spanish, where you went from starting into Spanish and eventually becoming fluent in Spanish. So the same will happen here. So now ask the question.
Frédéric et Jean sont-ils fatigués?
Voilà. So what's happened here is Frédéric et Jeanne sont fatigués. But of course, it's they are tired, right? Frédéric et Jeanne sont fatigués. Ils sont fatigués. So the question goes, Frédéric et Jeanne sont-ils fatigués? So you see that when they ask a question, they reverse the order, which is what we do in English. We say they are tired. Are they tired? So same, not very difficult.
Except for the subjects are still first in the sentence in the question, which is the
right. So So we would say in English, we say, Fred and Jean, are Fred and Jean tired?
Right. Yeah. It would start here.
Well, you could. So, but they tend to do that if there's two.
Yeah. Subject. Are they tired?
Right. This is we'll see different forms. We'll even see the est que form. There'll be different forms. Yeah. But this is one form.
Okay.
Okay.
Next page.
Next page. Yep.
Okay. So here's the answer to the question.
Yeah.
Oui, ils sont fatigués.
Right.
All right.
Next one.
Ils mangent le repas de soir à 19 heures.
Voilà.
Mangent-ils le repas?
No N. Mange-t-il?
Mange-t-il le repas de soir à 18 heures?
Voilà. And the answer is?
Non, ils ne mangent pas à 10 heures. Wait, 10. How do you say 18?
18 heures.
18 heures.
H-U-I-T. I got to go in there and change this and write out the words for the numbers. That's not good.
Yeah, I've heard numbers 1 through.
Yeah, absolutely.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay, so non, ils ne mangent pas à 18 heures.
Voilà.
No.
Now, of course, this is our first introduction to the negative. Il ne mange pas. So in French, you need 2 words to say no. Right? You can't say il ne mange à 18 heures. You have to say il ne mange pas à 18 heures. So they sandwich the verb between 2 negative. The negative consists of 2 components. Ne pas.
Ne pas.
I will see this again and again. So don't worry about it. You'll see it often enough that this is easy. You'll see this so often that it'll just be second nature. So give us the negative statement again.
Non, il ne mange pas à 18 heures.
Voilà. Okay. And il mange à?
Il mange à 19. 19.
Okay. The numbers, don't worry about them. They come up and eventually you get them. So I never worry about numbers. Okay, next one.
Ils ont un fils.
Excellent.
Ont-ils une fille?
Okay. Ont-ils? Yeah. Ont-ils une fille?
Une fille.
Voilà, fille. Everything having to do with L's and not is a bit confusing, but typically when it's 2 L's and an E like that, I-L-L-E, it's not pronounced.
Okay.
So, not always. Like the word for brilliant is brillant. Brilliant. 2 L's in there. Brillant, right? But the word for million is million.
Million.
So nothing is very consistent. Okay. Ont-ils une fille?
Ont-ils une fille?
Voilà. And the answer is?
Non. Ils n'ont pas de fille, mais
Fille.
Mais ils ont un fils.
Un fils.
Un fils.
So notice that the I is, again, over time you'll notice, but it's fille and fils. Fille. Anyway.
Fille and fils.
Voilà. Now, one thing that, again, I don't need to get into too much, but ils n'ont pas de fille. You could also say ils n'ont pas une fille. Ils n'ont pas de fille means they don't have any daughters. Whereas if it was ils n'ont pas une fille, it's like they don't have one daughter or a daughter, they have a son. But don't worry about it, you'll come across it later. Okay. You know what? I think we have covered a bit here of word order because I can't explain everything that happens, but at least I think you should be in these mini stories attentive to some of the things we covered today. You know, pronunciation, again, not because you want to pronounce it correctly now necessarily, but so that you gradually start to notice the pronunciation while you're listening, which is eventually going to help you. We covered the numbers. I apologize that we don't have them written out in the lessons.
That's all right.
And the negative is ne pas, always to. And we should have mentioned too that if you have ne followed by a vowel, as ils n'ont pas de fille, then you'll see there that we, down there, they remove the because to have a o together is very difficult. So it's ils n'ont pas, and so it's an apostrophe. The apostrophe represents the missing e.
Right, because this N here would be like this ne.
Right, exactly. So ils n'ont pas de fille.
That's very efficient of the French.
Yeah. Lots of stuff that's not so much fun, but that's efficient. Ils n'ont pas de fille because that's how you say it. You know, it's like contractions in English. You know, can't, cannot, can. Same idea. Okay, I think that's enough. And now, you know, enjoy the remainder of the mini stories. And next week we'll look at some other aspects. Maybe we'll get into gender or get into verbs. And but hopefully that gives you a little something to hopefully doesn't discourage you.
No.
Okay.
No.
And, good. All right then. So we'll look forward to. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just under pressure here. I hadn't heard some of these words before.
Well, that's right. That's right.
I'm taking your advice and I'm focusing a lot on listening and reading. So I haven't really pronounced these words very much, so it feels very awkward. But.
Yeah, it's just that when you are reading, there is a tendency to want to pronounce them to yourself. Therefore, it's helpful to know how they're pronounced, or you can develop the habit of pronouncing them wrong all the time. Now, when you are doing a lot of listening, like if you had listened to this story beforehand, and typically in my case, I would listen to a story like this 3 or 4 times. And then I go in and read it, and then I have a bit of momentum because I've heard it.
For sure, that's good advice.
Yeah, that helps me. And what was I going to say? I was going to say something else. But at any rate, no, just keep going with the stories, listening, noticing. And I was going to say, when I started into Arabic and Persian, it was difficult for me to read, much more difficult than it is for you, because here it's all a lot of recognizable words from English and Spanish, and it's written in the Latin alphabet.
Yes, that helps.
But when you get started, it's sometimes helpful to read along with a tutor, because then it helps you in your reading. Because then when you go back to reading, you feel a little more confident that you're pronouncing things correctly, at least to yourself.
Sure.
So you may find that as we progress, it won't be quite so necessary to read along in the lesson. But at an early stage, I think it's kind of useful. Helps get you going. Okay. Shelby, good luck in your French. Bonne chance. They say bon courage, like have courage. Kind of thing. Bon courage.
Merci beaucoup.
Okay. Au revoir.
Au revoir.